With a 20-year reputation for clean business, Matt Glynn at Code Property Group is the first choice for real estate on the Sunshine Coast and surrounding areas. I've known Matt for a very long time from a personal level and professional level, and he is an excellent real estate agent. He's professional, he holds a high level of integrity, he presents incredibly well, and has a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to the real estate industry. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, or simply get a valuation and find out more about your current property, then give Matt a call on 0404 315 066 or matt.glynn, GLYNN, at codepg.com. You won't be disappointed. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. Today I've got a very special guest. Alex Taylor is founder and owner of Totally Balanced Nutrition. She's obviously a nutrition and health coach, specialised in nutrition, of course. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to get her on the podcast today and talk about nutrition in general for the general population, misconceptions, obstacles, excuses, diet culture, and a lot of other things thrown in that she's experienced as well as what I have as well. So tune in for a really good chat. So let's have a chat with Alex. All right. Am I recording? I think I am recording. All right. Welcome to the podcast, Alex Taylor. How you going, Alex, first and foremost?
I'm good, Paul. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's a beautiful Monday, start of another week. Plenty of
Another
things to
one.
do.
Yep.
I thought it was a great opportunity to get you on. For those that don't know, you're obviously a client of mine, but you're a fellow nutritionist, a nutrition coach, health coach. You work with a lot of different individuals, but primarily women. And again, correct me if I'm wrong in anything that I say here. Totally Balanced Nutrition is your business. So
Yes.
I thought it was a great opportunity maybe to discuss and talk about all the ins and outs of current day nutrition methods and coaching and just some
Yeah.
of the stuff we see from day to day. And, you know,
Mm.
it's a fascinating world, the nutrition space. I can certainly vouch for that.
It is. It's very confusing for a lot of people out there just because, like, especially with social media, and influencers and whatever, they'll promote things, or really restrictive diets. So people sort of don't know where to go and how to follow, I suppose, just a normal nutritional diet, only because, there's so much restriction out there. People promote teas, or if you drink this lemon tea in the morning you'll have a flat stomach, and then people do that, they don't get it. So it's so confusing, and I do feel bad for the general population in that sense, which is why I created this business. I just wanted to simplify it. I wanted to show you can have sort of anything in your diet and still be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's very true. Now you're a former paramedic too, hey?
Mm.
Just as a bit of a side
Just a
and a
side note.
background. So you've
And
obviously got background in emergency service.
yeah, and a registered nurse as well. So I still work as a paramedic actually. I'm
Okay.
technically still on maternity leave. And did my nutrition online whilst I was on maternity leave, I suppose. Like I had to
Yep.
come off road a little bit early. So I did all that and then made a business out of it and kind of just fell in love with it really. And just having a little baby at home,
Mm.
this was a little bit easier to fit in with my lifestyle and things like that.
Yep.
Not to say that I won't ever go back to healthcare, but this is definitely the road that I'm going down at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually interesting because I do have a lot of paramedics and nurses as clients,
Mm,
given the lifestyle and obviously the shift work environment that you're in, it's quite challenging to obviously lead that, but also do it in a healthier perspective from a nutrition standpoint because you're always on call. You're working 12, 10-hour shifts. I know in the nursing environment they encourage like food to be brought in and things like that because you want
yeah,
the high to get you through night shifts and
yeah,
stuff. It's a bit of
100%.
an ongoing battle, right?
It is, and then it's like the sleep deprivation on the side of that as well. Like coming off night shifts, trying to get back into some sort of sleeping routine.
Yep.
And then even once you come out of the sleeping routine, you don't wake up and have breakfast because it's kind of like, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's just like, yeah, it does make it hard, that point of things, like just not having a decent, solid sleeping routine, and just sort of being really organized to take everything to shift with you. And then, like you said, with nurses, particularly, we'd go in to, bring a patient in and they've just got like lollies everywhere and cakes everywhere just to get them through the night shift. And you kind of understand it when you've got back-to-back night shifts.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do kind of nibble at what's there and it makes it a bit easier to get through, I suppose, having that little bit more energy. But if you've got, I suppose, goals, especially, with your competitors, it would make
Mhm.
it quite challenging and you've got to say no, I suppose.
Yeah, gotta learn to say no and say no
Mm.
often, irrespective of how it's received.
Yeah, yeah, but the energy wise, like, yeah, it is hard. Shift work is extremely, extremely hard, and that's probably why I've delayed going back for so long as well,
Sure.
is just because I'm not really ready to go through that again. Like, you almost wake up and you feel hungover. Like,
Yep.
it's just so awful. And then I suppose on top of that as well, you've got all the added stress, with the jobs, in that environment, like especially in an emergency or pre-hospital, like in on road,
Mm.
can be very stressful. So, when people get stressed, sometimes one of their coping mechanisms is to turn to food. So it
Yep, of
does
course.
make it a
Of
little bit
course.
hard. Yeah.
I don't know how you do it in that environment because you're right. Like under immense fatigue, you've got to make very quick, sharp decisions, which are effectively life-altering ones in some instances. And
Yeah.
if you're on, three night shifts in a row or something, I'm sure the brain's slowly working away, not as as reactive as it should be.
Oh no, it's actually like I feel like I drink so much more caffeine when I was on road. Like I just down it so much. But then I would have also like on night shift, I would have gut issues, like
Yep.
really, really bad gut issues. So then you're kind of dealing with bloating as well. And I don't know whether it was the stress or it was just because like I was eating at different times or whatever it was. Yeah, it's one of those jobs that it definitely takes it out of you. And like I never did it full time, like I only ever did it casually.
Yep.
But yeah, you'd work with a lot of full timers and they would just be cooked, like
Yeah.
mentally, physically cooked.
I
Yeah.
can imagine. Yeah, I can only
Yeah.
imagine.
But it's a
Um,
good job. In saying all that, I'm not banging it out. It is a good job and I loved it. But it is on your body and like, yeah, it's very, very taxing.
Yeah, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
for all the recent graduates out there, it's okay.
Yeah, still do it. It's still a great job, but it's just, yeah, I suppose just being mindful of those things when you take that
Absolutely.
job as well. And also just finding different outlets,
Yep.
making sure you can get some solid sleep in, making your room nice and dark and
Mm,
cool, and then, making sure your food's on point by taking it with you so you're not having to get it out on road or,
yep.
things like that are just definitely going to be very helpful.
100%, 100%. So, stepping into nutrition
Yes.
specifically, what are the common, I guess, starting points you come across when someone approaches you? The typical goal is weight loss, I'm going to assume.
Yep.
Um, have you heard too many horror stories or just people that are coming to you after having, I've tried everything, that response, or I've tried all the diets, or I've done this, I've done that, I've done, 1,000 calories.
Yep.
Is that a common approach that you get as well?
It is, and it's a lot of the time as well, they'll come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, I think I'm addicted to sugar." And then you sort of look at their day to day, and it's more just because they're not really having anything substantial. So they're
Yeah,
just constantly, or they're snacking. And that's another huge one is that I'm a snacker, like, and then you have a look at their day to day again, and it's just kind of like because they're nitpicking all day. And I kind of explain to them that that's actually quite normal to have those blood sugar spikes and drops, and your body's going to keep seeking you like those snacks throughout the day. And majority of my clients are meal plan clients, so they just want some structure. They just want to
sure,
learn how to structure their day essentially. I always do offer the flexible dieting macro option as well, but
sure.
sometimes they just like to see what I'm talking about, I suppose, and how to do it, and
Yep,
then transition later on. And then yeah, once they get into like a solid like routine, I suppose, of meal prepping and starting to actually eat decent main meals, they realize that they're not addicted to sugar and they don't need as many snacks because they don't feel as snackish,
Yes,
or as hungry, or having those massive energy crashes and then searching for the next quick fix type of
of
thing.
course.
which is really good. I love that I can kind of flick that light bulb on for them because that was like something that I used to struggle with, like back
Mm.
in my weight loss journey days. Like I was the same thing, like before I learned anything about a calorie, I would eat as little as possible, but that would be snacks throughout the day. And in my head, that wasn't a main meal, so it wasn't like there's well, not much calories attached to that.
Yep.
And then yeah, I struggled with my weight and went through that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you find a lot of people are surprised by how much food you provide them on a meal plan when you've figured out where their sort of maintenance or their deficit needs to sit?
Yes, it's so it's almost like you expect the message to come
Yeah.
through, especially with breakfast, because a lot of people, aren't breakfast eaters or used to skip breakfast,
Mm.
again, with the intention of losing weight. So then I give them this breakfast and they're like, oh my God, I can't finish it. And I'm like, "But isn't that amazing that you can be super full
Yeah.
on like essentially a weight loss journey?
Yeah.
It's better than being hungry. So yes, definitely once they learn a little bit about food volume, it definitely makes their life a little bit easier.
Yep.
And again, flicking on that light bulb, sort of, yeah.
Oh, the awareness. It is really interesting, isn't it? But I guess, you've got to also take into consideration they don't know any different, right? They've come from a culture where they've cycled through diet after diet or, program after program and obviously haven't had success. And then all of a sudden they're given, quote unquote, all this food.
Yeah,
It becomes, you could argue overwhelming in some instances.
definitely. And they almost don't believe it's going to work because
Mm.
they're like, how can I be this full and like essentially like be dropping weight?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it does. I think, yeah, as I said, with social media and stuff like that, and all the restrictive diets out there, like the word suggests, restrictive. They
Mm.
can't do it for a long period of time, so they only do it for however many weeks, say 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They've tried their hardest and they haven't seen results, and then they just go back to the same routine or they find the next restrictive diet. And that's what I kind of try and teach them is that like those restrictive diets aren't going to get you anywhere.
No,
It's better to, actually learn to like food and, not fear food because food's always going to be a part of our lives, right? There's
it
no
is.
getting around that. So they may as well learn how to use food to benefit them.
Absolutely. What's some of the horror stories you've heard from people coming to you? That's
Um, there
pretty.
was, yeah, there was a client that came to me and had talked to the GP about going on like one of the weight loss drugs, like
Oh yeah.
Wegovy or Ozempic or
Mm.
whatever. And like I didn't have any of her measurements, so this was just like a call. We chatted and everything like that, and she's like, well, before I go down that path, I kind of want to see if I can. This is like my last straw, right? Like I'm gonna go through you, see if I can get my nutrition on point, see if it does anything. If it doesn't, I'm gonna go on
Mm.
Wegovy or whatever. I was like, okay, no worries. And then she sent me through all her measurements, and she was tiny.
Oh,
And I was like, what? Like, I just couldn't understand because, like, yeah, she was so tiny. Like her measurement, she was like a small framed woman. Definitely did not need to be on something like Wegovy or anything like that.
right.
And the fact that the GPs then like suggested that to her, like that made me really sad.
Mm.
Because like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of getting handed out like Skittles these days. Like it's very, very common and it's like a band-aid fix, right? Like
It
it's
is.
not really gonna and I had like another client on it and she was explaining that it turns off the food noise and I totally get that like
Yep.
food noise is a real thing but like what happens when you stop it?
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
food noise is still going to be there. So, yeah, like I think that was probably the like a sad part. But I suppose I do understand in that perspective that, people become so unhappy with themselves that they're literally like willing to try anything.
Desperate. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They get to that point, and I can relate. I totally understand. But yeah, sometimes I don't know. You just you wish you could explain, I suppose, the longer term consequences. And I suppose coming from a medical like perspective as well,
Yep.
like you don't want to be on a medication if you don't have to be on a
No.
medication. You know what I mean? Why would you want to keep putting stuff into your body if you do not have to?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's always going to be consequences to that. So yeah.
It's a scary proposition. Like I'm of a similar opinion to you in regards to the use of those drugs. The negatives against the positives are significant. Like, we're
Yeah.
talking obviously muscle breakdown. As you mentioned, it eliminates the noise, yes, absolutely, but that's a short-term fix, as you said.
Hmm.
But the long-term consequences in terms of muscle breakdown, because you've got no control over where this weight's coming from, right? And if you
Yeah.
can't eat,
Yeah.
or your appetite is suppressed, and then therefore you've got very little hunger cues, you're not going to eat too much. Therefore, you're probably not going to lean towards protein as a favorable macronutrient.
Yeah.
And the body just needs energy. It needs energy
Yeah.
to survive. So yeah, muscle breakdown is a real thing. So it's really concerning that I just have a strong feeling that we're going to enter an epidemic
Yeah.
off the back of these drugs, because
Yeah.
people are looking for a short-term fix. They just, like you said, people get desperate. They've quote unquote tried everything, and they're going to go down this path, and the doctors are not certainly helping because they're just handing it out left, right, and center. They're even who told me? Someone told me that it's now part of I think Jenny Craig including it in part of their
Oh
programming.
no.
I know
Yeah,
it's
right.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't factually checked that, so I don't know for certain, but if that is correct, that's really scary that people are just utilizing this quote unquote wonder drug as a means to
Yeah.
help people lose weight when there are simpler ways to do it. You just have to be a little bit more patient, right?
There is, yeah, there is simpler ways. Like I just, yeah, and I get it. Like I mean, as I said, like we've just said, like people do get desperate, but
Mm.
it's, I don't know. In my opinion, it's not really worth it. And there's, like you said, there's so many different ways you can
Yeah.
go into a calorie deficit, which is essentially what it's doing. So,
I've got similarly, I've got a client who opted to use Wegovy at the moment. Aside from my recommendation, and he's he's constantly sick. He's constantly
yeah,
belching. He's constantly got diarrhea. Um, but he's prepared to put up with it because he feels that that's the only option he's got to lose weight. Even though I've
yeah.
spoken to him so many times about nutrition, so it's one of those things, right? People are looking for that quick result.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It is hard, but it's also like, they're adults at the end of the day. They can make their own decision.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Um,
it. Yeah, 100%.
yeah, but it does suck for like what we can see, I suppose, coming.
Yeah, and hindsight's a great thing, right? Like we've obviously
Yeah,
got the knowledge in the background and know that these processes will work, but you've just got to put in time. And unfortunately, we're in a culture of immediate gratification, and unfortunately, that's
100%.
not what a lot of people are prepared to put in time for.
Well, that's it as well. Like, I think a lot of people like associate their success with a goal weight,
Mm,
or scale weight.
yeah,
A lot of my clients didn't want to take photos in the
yeah,
beginning. And I have to like coax them into taking those first photos. And then once they do it, they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I took the photos because that scale weight, which I explain all the time, and like you explain to me all the time in my check-ins, like is it's gonna fluctuate. You're gonna have like weeks where it's not gonna go down, but that doesn't mean you're not progressing. I had one client that her scale weight would not drop, but you look at her photos and they're two different people.
yep,
Like it's insane. And I was like, look, you just might be one of those people that we're just never going to drop. Like that's okay. Like it did drop, I think, like a couple of kilos or something like that, but it just stopped and it just would not drop. And she was getting so frustrated. But yeah, I was like, keep looking at your photos, keep looking at your measurements because like that's not everything. And if someone, yeah, is doing a diet, I suppose, and they're not seeing that scale weight go down, then they're like, oh, it's not working. What's
mm,
next?
next
And they're
diet.
constantly
Yep,
going, and that's what they associate with success. And then they go to the GP and they go, I've tried all these diets and
uh,
I haven't had any success. But in reality, they just haven't done it long enough, or they're determining success by a scale weight,
yeah, yeah, that's
and
right.
your body's getting like women terrible. Like
Well, hey, look, you can say that. I
scale weight.
can't.
Oh no, like just our scale weight with cycles and stuff like that. Like it's so annoying.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely if you as long as you don't like you have other factors that you're looking at, and that's why sometimes it's really helpful to have that coach, being
mm,
like it's okay, you're still progressing, like
yeah.
XYZ is happening.
That's it.
Um,
Well,
but
I
yeah.
mean, that's the reality of the situation, isn't it? Like people will wake up in the morning. Obviously, we encourage you to weigh yourself, but that's the first
Mm,
thing you do. So, you get in that habit of checking the numbers, and if the numbers don't go down straight away, that could set the tone for the day. So there's an
100%.
emotional response to that. Yeah, it's a fascinating psychological sort of situation, but we know that your weight can be fluctuated by so many things,
So
so many
many.
variables. Oh, it's
Yeah.
unreal.
I hate scale
I,
weight
I
sometimes.
come back from overseas just recently from India, and I was 5 kilos up from travel, from poor
Yeah,
sleep, from
yeah,
inconsistent diet. Like their food over there is obviously very high in sodium.
yeah.
Um, I was dehydrated from the plane, like all these factors, and I
So many.
peaked 5 kilos, but by the end of the week, I was down 4. So
Yeah.
it's just a fluctuation due to circumstance, and you've just got to be very much aware of it.
And I think a lot of people as well, they get on the scales at the end of the day or like after they've eaten breakfast or
Yes.
whatever, and
Yeah.
then they're not seeing like kind of it go down or to be like a consistent reading, I suppose, because
Yep.
they're, always doing something before they're getting on the scales and then they don't see progress.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have clients come to you with like you mentioned before, like a set weight goal in mind? Like I've got to lose 10 kilos. They've got this round number that is maybe associated with a previous them.
Yes, like I do have a few clients that do like start off with, yep, I want to lose 5 kilos before this event or
Sure.
whatever it is. But not all of them. And I do like encourage them not to have a goal weight.
Mm.
Just because like, yes, we're going to make progress. Yes, you could lose that much weight, but just to not put so much emphasis on the scales, just
Yep.
because like a big thing that I push with clients and on my social media and things like that is like to ditch the all or nothing mentality, just
Yeah,
because I feel like it's drilled into so many of us.
it is.
Um, yeah, like, and so, if they've got this goal weight in mind, for example, and they weren't perfect that week, and then like not getting closer to their goal weight, that puts them in the all or nothing mentality, and then they go into almost like wanting to restrict
Mm.
ridiculously the next week, and I'm just like, just doesn't like stop aiming to be perfect because you'll find that just what you can do consistently 90% of the time is going to get you to where you want to be.
Absolutely. Actually, that's a good point. Like perfectionism, everyone is expecting that that'll just magically happen, but it's
Mm.
it's near impossible to achieve. Like, life is too challenging and complex for us to have a perfect week when it comes to health and fitness.
Yeah, 100%. And like with a lot of my clients as well, they're mums or their parents or whatever, and they get a routine and then their kid gets sick or something happens. And even like again with our check-ins,
Yep.
like there's always something that's happening like in the background, and you've just got to try and like essentially get your plan to fit in with what you're doing, not
Mm,
the other way around. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, you just got to be prepared to pivot, I guess, or navigate, or have plan A, B, and C in place just in
Yeah.
case, and like you've got a young one, so
Mm.
you can't exactly sit down with her and go, okay, what does your week look like?
Yeah. I need to get this all done.
Yeah,
How am I going to
exactly.
do
Yeah,
this?
they're going to
Yeah.
be erratic and all over the place and up, down,
Yeah.
sleep, no sleep, so you can't be expected to be perfect under those sort of circumstances.
No, and like I feel like, yeah, as I said, it's like almost drilled into people, especially when they have that like perfectionism type personality, which I
Mm,
do, just
sure.
FYI, just for our coaching in the future.
Okay, noted.
Yeah, but like but I do try and be really lenient with myself sometimes, because almost all of that guilt that you're feeling because
Mm,
you didn't do XYZ is worse than actually not doing XYZ, or people, eat something off plan and they get really hard on themselves or really down on
yeah,
themselves. And, I didn't have any control or I didn't do this, whatever. And it's like, did you enjoy it? Like, it's not really going to make a huge difference to your week overall.
no,
Like,
it's not.
you know what I mean? Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather you have that, enjoy it, know that you can have it again,
Mm.
rather than have heaps of guilt associated with it and then, hate yourself for the next week or whatever
But then
and
it
never
goes
want to have
back
that
to the,
again.
the all or nothing.
Yeah.
Some people will take that and go, "Oh, I fucked the week. I'll just
Yeah.
keep going."
They do,
Yeah,
yes. And yeah, it's a cycle, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I do try and break it with a lot of my clients.
yep. It is a really interesting thing. How much pressure do you feel that your clients have succumbed to based on social media expectations as well?
Or like yes, it does make it really hard. I suppose like I just want to use an example because it's like fresh in my mind.
Go for it.
So I was following an influencer on my social media, or whatever. I'm not anymore,
Mm,
but she promoted something last week and it was about her glute program. And she put like a before and after of her glutes,
mm,
which this girl naturally has bigger glutes, right? And yes, there's a difference, but in the second photo where her glutes are bigger, she's wearing shorts that emphasize her bum. Like
Right.
I know because I know those shorts. So
Okay.
like even for somebody like me who has no glutes, if I wear them, I've got glutes,
Right.
right?
Right.
So and she's saying 4 weeks difference. Here's my glute program and selling that.
Okay.
So then I was actually going to message you because I was like, oh, I wonder what Paul's opinion is on this. But it's just kind of like setting people up like, oh, if I do her program in 4 weeks, that's what my glutes are going to look like.
Yeah.
And it's just, it does make it really, really hard because like people then think that stuff is going to happen really quickly for them. And if it doesn't, oh, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I, get the same results as her? Or even, people promoting what I eat in the days, which is fine. Like I think that's all well and good. But it's also like people watch that and go, if I eat that exact food, I'm
Mm.
going to look like her.
Yeah.
And, majority of the people that are doing these sort of like social media things have never had a weight problem in their life.
Mm.
And they don't really understand and they, again, don't have the flexibility or whatever it is. So people follow that and they don't understand why they're not getting the same results. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah, it
know.
does make it very hard sometimes
Yeah.
just to try and steer them away to a bit more reality, I suppose, have a bit more patience,
Hmm.
and to understand that genetics is going to play a factor in all of that as well.
Big
So
time.
yeah, but like I feel like majority of my clients I'm quite good friends with now. So like
Okay.
they're like, okay, I'll listen to you. Yeah, like I trust you, whatever.
Well, that's important,
So
right? You've got to build
yeah,
trust for them to
yeah,
follow your direction and guidance.
yeah,
You raise a good point with the influencers sort of not necessarily having weight challenges or anything like that, but they also don't have necessarily challenging lives. Most of them are fairly young, right? So they
yes,
don't have kids. They probably
yeah,
haven't got a mortgage. Like I don't know. It's just a rough example, but the majority of people looking for someone to guide them and direct them have got all of these things going on, and that's generally why they're in the position they're in.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes it very, very challenging. Um, Talking of like more along the lines of misconception, what's some of the sort of common things that you've come across where people have said, oh, are carbs bad, or should I not eat after 7, or all these
Oh,
sorts of silly things that we know are silly, but people swear black and blue that they're legitimate, right?
yeah. Yeah, like no sugar.
Yep.
People like really don't understand if I put like ice cream in their meal plan, that
Yeah,
how
I
they're
do
gonna
that
lose
actually. Yeah,
weight.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Or carbs. Yep,
yep.
definitely. Like especially a lot of people coming off the back end of keto,
Mm,
where in keto it's drilled into you that carbs are bad, fruit is bad, I did keto at one point in my life. So yeah, like I have had those people sort of come through, but they get to the point where before they sort of come to me, they've just kind of been doing whatever.
mm,
Because between doing all that and then it's not worked, and then they've been doing whatever. Yep, all right, I need to get my act together. And then they kind of join me.
mm,
But like I reiterate, especially when they put in their onboarding form anything about like the right or wrong foods. I then put in their meal plan like ice cream or chocolate. And then when I do their onboarding, I'm like, hey, you probably noticed in your meal plan that you've got ice cream and chocolate. I don't want you to be scared. This is all about like learning to have a variety of everything and that these foods don't need to be demonized.
yeah.
It's better to have them in your diet, make you happy. This is going to prevent you overeating and having a bit more control of food. So when they come across those foods in the future, they're going to be like, oh, have that in my diet all the time.
There you go.
I don't need to
Exactly.
overeat it.
No, and that's it. Like you said, it's not demonizing the actual food. There's no food that's bad or good. It's just that
Mm.
we need the appropriate balance. Um,
Yeah.
do you find a lot of your potential clients or clients are under eating on protein? Is that a common theme?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, especially like I find that anyone going through perimenopause, menopause, all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
But even like with my mum as well, like I just kind of like look at kind of what she eats day to day, and like she doesn't really ever think of protein, like
Mm,
and how important it is for someone like her, who's a bit older. It's important for everyone, I suppose, but
of course.
yeah, like it's not really something that people factor in a lot of the time unless you're kind of in the space.
Yes.
Yeah, so and like then I think when you're in the a lot of people just go, oh, protein, you just want to build muscle. Like, no,
It's
like,
that
do you know,
stigma,
and
right?
I
Yeah.
feel like that's, yeah, that's like my mum, she would like be like, oh, I don't want to build muscle, so I'm just going to eat protein type of thing. But yeah, like I think people are quite shocked at how high their protein intake becomes.
Yes.
And it's not actually that hard really, because like you just increase your chicken from like 100 to 150, and
Mm.
like it doesn't have to be really complicated. You don't have to
No.
eat like heaps and heaps of like protein sources. It can be quite easy to hit a goal because yeah, but a lot of people aren't. They just don't think about it.
No,
They
it
just
is an afterthought. You're right. It's
yeah.
yeah, it's really fascinating, and then when you do put their protein up to a higher level that they're not used to, that they tend to be quite uncomfortable about that, or there's resistance.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like it's and then a lot of people like if they're a macro client and not a meal plan client, they struggle to hit their protein
Mm.
sometimes. And I like don't understand. Because like my protein goal with you is always like exceeded because like I don't know, I guess because I have been doing my food for so long.
Yes.
I know what to put in it. I know like how to get my protein high and everything like that. And I love it. Like I
Mm.
just feel so good when my protein's higher. And I think that's like coming back to like the people that are on the meal plans. That's another reason why they're so full so quickly, is because all of a sudden they've got heaps of protein in their
Correct.
diet, a little bit more fiber as well. A lot of people don't eat a lot of veggie,
No.
surprisingly. Like it's
Absolutely.
when you're a kid, you've got to like eat your veggies, and then you get older and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna eat
Yeah, it could be the meat.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to say something then, and I completely lost my track of thought.
I might
Um,
do that.
in the actual diet culture you mentioned, obviously before keto. That's obviously one of the sort of the trendy diets at the moment. It's like carnivore as well. Do you get a lot
Mm.
of that coming to you, having tried that or currently in that space, and then not realizing that what you offer is just all about balance?
Not too many. Like I know personal friends that have done it.
Mm,
And as I said myself, I did that years and years ago.
mm,
Because it was trending and it was like people did have success with it.
yes.
I did have a question like pop up on my Instagram the other day, about she had both her and her partner had done keto. He lost a whole bunch of weight, she lost a couple of kilos and then stopped,
Yep,
but
I
they were
think I
eating
saw
the
that.
same
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like yeah, I was just trying to explain like, and men would probably have a lot like an easier time on keto, I
Mm,
suppose. But yeah, like I kind of had to explain that he's probably in a calorie deficit and you're probably not, because your calorie deficits would be different. And I have like tried to explain as well to people that you can have carbs in your diet.
mm,
You don't need to be scared of them. In fact, the body wants carbs,
it
especially if you're
does.
training as well.
Yeah.
Like pre-training snack, like quick carbohydrates, you're gonna feel so good training. Like you've got
Mm,
something there. And I actually can relate because remember, like when I was on keto, I remember feeling like absolute crap in the gym. Like
yeah.
I had nothing. Like I
Flat
just
as a
couldn't.
pancake, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I could never excel either. Like
Yep.
I was always just like running off nothing.
Yep.
So yeah, I would never judge someone on their diet. Like, if they want to do that, that's all up to them. If they're happy doing that, whatever. But it's just not necessary. Carbs are so good. Like
Mm.
potatoes are so good. Bread is so good. Like, why would you not want to eat that?
It's fair play, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, Calories. In
Mm.
regards to, because obviously you mentioned you meal plan a lot of people. So people that come to you for assistance, do you, and they've got no experience, do they immediately want the meal plan structure because it's the quote unquote easier option and there's a lot of resistance to tracking food, or is it just a bit more of your direction than theirs?
It sort of depends on the client and what they come through with and their history. A
Hmm.
lot of people have done so many diets in the past, they've tracked in the past, and it can sometimes be triggering only because it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it takes a bit of mental power, right? To
Hmm.
constantly track, to do all that stuff. And sometimes, like, yeah, a lot of these people are really, really busy. They just want something, give me some structure, give me some routine, something I can follow, something I don't have to think about. Comes with a grocery like list and everything. Like it just makes it a little bit easier for them. Um, but then I do have some people that transition to flexible dieting just because they get overdoing meal plans, which is
Yep.
fine. But yeah, it's just it just depends on the person and kind of more their history and what they want to achieve and how long they want to achieve it. And I just kind of get a sense of the person um first of all, and then I kind of been like, okay, well, maybe we start this way and then or
Mm.
kind of guide them down whichever path works for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that some people want to do the calories, but then they realize it is quite time consuming at the start to understand data entry, weighing everything, all that sort of jazz?
So like even when they're on a meal plan, I still get them to like use kitchen scales just because I want to educate them. And that's
Yep.
something that I reiterate as well. Like, yes, you're on a meal plan, but you're still going to be educated on the back end of things. So when you do finish up with me, which I don't expect all of them to be with me forever,
Mm.
you're going to have that knowledge behind you.
Yep.
And a lot of them do struggle with portions as well. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know that's how much, pasta I should be eating or whatever. Like I just didn't like it's just another light bulb thing for them. So yes, but with people that come through like where they do go straight to macros, it's more they've had experience doing it in the past. Like I haven't had to coach anyone through a macro sort of flexible dieting yet. Because yeah, most of them are like, I don't know, I feel like back when I was learning tracking, back when I
Mm.
got my first coach, like that was the way everyone wanted to learn flexible dieting. Everyone wanted to learn my fitness pal and stuff like that. But now, like I feel like people are more transitioning back to meal plans just because it's easier,
It is
sometimes
easier,
it's a bit
yeah.
more cost effective. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
just yeah.
Well, people like you said at the very start, people thrive under structure, right? They
Mm,
as hard as a week can be in terms of adhering to structure because of all the variables at play. If your meal plan is delivered to you in a simplistic format that is very structured, then it's easy to meet the requirements of. Therefore, see out the results you're trying to achieve, I guess.
yes. Yeah. And like hope like majority of the meals that like I sort of provide my clients as well, they're quite good.
Hmm.
Quite tasty. So then, like, a lot of people don't have to think about what I have to have for dinner tonight. Like, what do I have to
Absolutely.
cook? Because people
Yep.
hate doing that, right?
Yep.
Like, coming home, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? I'm
Yep.
going to go get from the grocery store. It's like
Yep.
such another mental load that they probably
Hmm.
just don't want. So
Yep.
then, yeah, you give them a meal plan and it's like, sweet, week sorted, done.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
100%. Um, the excuses. Let's talk about excuses. What sort of excuses do you get? Like obviously, and this can be an array of things, and it's good to sort of swap stories with a fellow coach. I get them too, but
Yeah,
in regards to not checking in on time, or in regards to not following the plan, or all these sorts of things. And look, I'll put my hand up and say I've done it from time to time. Everyone does because we're only
yeah,
human at the end of the day. Again, we're not perfect, but as an experienced coach, you can kind of read through it quite easily as well when it comes your
yeah,
way, and
yeah.
and 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 obviously monitor, I suppose, the trends of and behaviors of the individual as well. So you sort
Yeah.
of see it coming in some instances. Is that something that you commonly come across as well?
Yeah, I haven't had anyone not check in yet.
Okay, that's good.
I know. My clients.
Knock on
Hope they're
wood.
listening. Yeah, I know. No, check-ins they're always really, really good with, even if they have like a bit of a dodgy week. And I,
Yep.
I think like in my welcome sort of thing that I give them, I always say, I don't care how you week, let's just tell me. Like I'd
Yep.
rather you be honest.
Honest, yeah.
Yeah, because then you look at their results as well, and you're like, okay, that all makes sense. Excuse-wise, like I think a lot of the time it comes back to just not having enough time.
Mm,
That's a big one, like other things are going to take priority, work, kids, and then I suppose like, I didn't have time to meal prep. I just got something while I was out, things like that, are some excuses that I get, but it's just, yeah, they're not like, it's usually just like, if you can kind of understand it to some point, but it's also like, if your health is always going to be there, like you're
mm.
always going to want to be working on your health. And I think I've explained that to a recent client. Like, I said, you're going to go through this health journey, but it's not going to be over in 12 weeks time.
Yeah.
You're always going to be working on it. Like even now for me, like I've lost all this weight and now I'm working with you because I'm like, all right, getting some muscle. Like I'm ready for the next thing. You're
Yeah,
always wanting to work on your health because that's
that's
just who
right.
we are as humans. We're always wanting to improve and better
Improve,
ourselves.
progress.
And that's a good thing, right? Like you
Mm,
always want to be like, yeah, bettering yourself, I suppose, to some extent.
100%.
Um, so yeah, like I just try and, like you say to me as well, it's always like the long game. You've just got to play out the long game. Yes, fine, you didn't have a great week. Let's improve next week. Let's see what we can do to change a few things. And just, I suppose, people as well, like, they sometimes like, I just didn't have the motivation to be on plan this week,
Mm.
and then it's like, no one's motivated. I feel like motivation is this big, like, oh, I'm not motivated, so I didn't do what I
Yeah.
should have done. And I, again, explained to them, I am motivated like 5% of the time. Like, I'm never motivated. So it's more just like, I just know I got to do it.
Yep.
So I just go and do it. It's part of my routine. And I like, it's like going to work. Like, do you want to get up in the morning and go to work every day? No,
Yeah.
you're not motivated to do that. But the end result is going to be money, which means you're
Mm.
going to have like financial security. Same thing with your health goals. Like, get up, you go to do what you got to do to get to an end result. Like, it's, one of those things.
Yep, absolutely. You touched on their being underprepared and then obviously having to buy stuff on the go. What's some go-to advice in relation to that space? Because that seems to be a very common theme where people have underprepared, so they've got to grab something on the run, and
Mm.
more often than not, they lean to the most convenient thing. But in my experience, you could easily duck into a 7-Eleven, a Woolworths, a Foodworks, or whatever, and there's still plenty of viable options
Options.
available. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have like kind of explained that you can go into Woolies, Coles, whatever, get
Mm,
like those like pre-packaged meals.
mm.
So like the My Muscle Chef or
Yep.
U Foods or whatever. And like, because they, when they get meal plans as well, there's always like a calorie value attached to the meal. Like,
Mm.
so, breakfast is 400 and something calories. So
Yep.
then I'm like, if you look at your breakfast, that's like a 500-calorie breakfast. Go in and or lunch or whatever, go into the supermarket and try and find one of those prepackaged meals that are similar calories.
Yep.
And they're quite good. I usually say to like add some veggies if they can to it, because usually they don't have enough veggies in them.
Yes.
But yeah, that's definitely an option. If that's not an option, then like sometimes they just message me and they're like, hey, I'm here. I've got this here, like as in like I've got Red Rooster, Subway, blah 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 blah, blah that are in front of me. What can I do? And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like, well, so then like I'm like, what, like I kind of have to go through with them, like, what are they feeling like? And then they kind of explain what they're feeling like, and then I'm like, okay, because we want to still this amount of protein, we want this, we want that. Like, I kind of give them a few options that they can pick from, so they can still have that flexibility, especially because their lifestyle. But um, yeah, it's a little bit easier for me to kind of explain to them what would probably be a better option. And then yeah, that's kind of how we do it. It's just trying to teach them flexibility. It does become a little bit challenging sometimes.
Yeah. But I guess the benefit or the advantage of going through that process is that you're going to be in this situation again, no doubt, at some
Yeah.
point. Like, so you'll be able to navigate it a bit better, but with more confidence, knowing that your selections are going to be the best available, and you're not going to carry that guilt after having eaten something
Yeah.
bland or bad for you, quote
Exactly.
unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just about, or like, it actually surprised me, like, to go through some of those takeaway places and like how, like, how many calories are just like in a small meal. Like,
Yeah.
you don't really think about it, I suppose. But like, I actually play like the guessing game with my partner. I'm like, how many calories do you think is in this? Because he has no idea. So he's like, oh, I don't know, like
Yeah, right.
400. And you're like, no.
Keep going.
Yeah, that's right. But, and, like, I find for me personally, like when he's home, we're a bit more social.
Mm,
So, like, if we're out and about and stuff, like we meet up with friends or whatever, like if we have stuff out, I always have gut problems afterwards, and my sugars always drop as well. So I'm always like really tired after we've had like a social outing. And I
mm,
find that a lot of my clients are the same. They'll be like, hey, like, I had this day off track, I had the day with my girlfriends or whatever, and I just feel so crap today. Like, and it's so like, because they're just so used to not eating that way, once they do sort of start
yep.
eating that food again, it just makes them feel like absolutely terrible. And I had a client that she used to have breakfast out all every morning, so it was
Right.
like this constant, I think it was like a GYG something, I don't know.
Mm,
Anyway, that was like her routine when she first came to me, popped her own meal plan, blah, blah, blah. And then she ran out of time. She got the same thing that she always used to get. And she's like, I could not eat it anymore. Like, I felt so awful
yeah.
after it. But that was her normal. She'd had that for months and months on end. And then
Wow.
just when she stopped eating it and started eating just normal whole foods,
Mm.
she was like, oh my God, it made me feel terrible. She's like, the biggest win was from it. Like, I'm probably never going to do that again.
Well, and it's true, but like your body
Mm,
adapts to what you put in it, right? So,
mm,
if you are constantly eating a takeout option or a processed option or something that's not prepared by you, you do adapt to that and you adapt to
mm.
the contents of that. And when you tidy it up and do that for, several weeks or months and you go back to what you were having, like you've just given in that example, it surprises so many people at how rubbish they feel afterwards. They feel yuck.
Yeah, it
But
does.
it's a good wake up call too because they go, wow, I'm so good. I'm really looking forward to going back onto
Yes,
my
back on
structured diet.
plan.
Yeah, back on
Yeah,
the plan. Exactly.
100%.
Yeah, really, really fascinating. Um, I did have something else and I've forgotten again.
No,
Um,
I've done that so many times as well. We like start a tangent. I'm like, there's definitely something else I was going to
Oh,
tell
that's okay. Yeah,
you.
there was something there that you mentioned. Oh, that's right. Oh, so you mentioned obviously you're having a meal out with your husband, but
But
so
yeah.
what's your advice around navigating that? So obviously we've spoken about if you're on the road and you're unprepared or whatever,
Mm.
but people still want flexibility and lifestyle and maybe the occasional meal out at a restaurant or whatever the case may be. How do they navigate that so that there's no preemptive guilt or anything around those things?
Yeah, so like I kind of explain to them, like if they tell me that they're gonna go out for the night,
Mm,
you have one of two options. You can either enjoy the night out, order what you want to do, have a night off, like the plan, whatever. Or if you still essentially want to stay on track to the most part, then I just kind of suggest that they get like a meal with minimal ingredients. So nothing like curries or pastas or anything that have heaps and heaps of ingredients. Just a protein source, some grilled chicken, grilled fish, grilled steak, whatever. Make sure you have a side of veggies on there as well, and then drink wise or and sauces, sorry, on the side as
yep.
well, like so just so they can kind of portion that
Bit
sauce
more
out because a lot of
control.
the time, yeah, because like a lot of the time like restaurants will just be like, "Oh, whatever, all over." And then drink wise, like if they're again wanting to stay on plan, then to get like a sugar-free drink or water or soda water or whatever, so they can still have that drink and whatever. um and then with the macro clients, I always, nothing's going to be exact, but,
No.
to try and like look at the portion, try and pop it into MyFitnessPal or whatever it is they're using, and then pop on about 20 grams of oil.
Oh,
Just
that's so
because
true.
there's always or like so much stuff that they're putting in like
Yeah.
to cook that stuff to make it taste so amazing. But yeah, but most of the time I do like encourage that, if they want to have a night off from the meal plan or if they want to have a night off tracking or whatever, just to have a night off with their friends and their family, like, that's fine as well.
Mm.
Yeah, like I think that's really important as well, again, because they can have that night off and then they can have all the guilt associated with it and then they can tell me later on, or I can just be like, oh, it's okay, it's all good,
Yeah,
I'm glad you had a good night, I'm glad you were able to be social, like let's move on, let's get back on track, because that's the main
absolutely.
thing, is like just getting back into the routine of things after having a night off.
Mm. The oil thing's really interesting because it's so true, right? I call it a leak because if you're not aware of it, and often if you go to a restaurant, even at home, like if your partner's cooking your dinner, but they use oil to lubricate the pan before they cook, straight away the product they're cooking will absorb some of that oil. It could be
Yeah,
10 grams worth, but that's quite significant in the grand scheme of things. It's amazing how
yeah,
quickly that can add up.
it can, yeah, definitely. And if like I do have the clients that really want to be on plan all the time,
Mm.
so like that's why I always have that. Like I always know what to say to them. But yeah, you're never going to be exact when you're not cooking your own food, but it's still good to have that, like fill up your social cup, I suppose. Like that's very, very important as well in maintaining mental health and things like that,
Oh,
even
of
when you're on a
course.
weight loss journey. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no point in being stressed about not following your plan because that stress is going to contribute to your weight anyway. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And yeah, like, life's short as well. So, and
correct.
food is a lot more than just nutrition. It's, you know, social outings and it's connection and it's love and it's all
Mm.
that sort of stuff as well. So, I think it's really important that people have that in the back of their mind. Because otherwise, as well, you're going to hate being in a diet phase, right? In a
Oh
12-week
yeah.
diet phase, whatever it is. And you're going to hate it because
Mm.
you're not going to have any social outings. You're going to feel really restricted.
Yep.
Like, no, have that little bit of balance in there, and you'll still get results and you're still maintaining a social life and doing what you want to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So extending from that, traveling. So again, people are fearful of this. There's a number of different approaches to traveling. I get the occasional one that wants to diet into a holiday because they want to look
Mm-hmm.
good for the beach,
Of course. Yep.
but then obviously are susceptible to weight gain because they've restricted.
Yep.
And then obviously people when they're away, they seem to go one or two ways. They either go gun ho, unleash the shackles, and just go to town on the buffet and all the cocktails they want, and come back 10 kilos heavier, or
Yep.
they go the other way and are very active but also very aware. And
Yep.
often those people will come back lighter, and then they're really surprised by that, even though they haven't followed any sort of plan.
Yep.
And it's predominantly because they're just so stress free because they're on a holiday, right? Do you get
Yep.
a similar sort of situation?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do encourage that, holidays are rare and
Mm,
sometimes it's good to let your hair down and, you know, but because I also teach like the that you can have, the social foods or whatever in your diet plan and like they don't feel the need to go balls to the wall with all the food. Like they kind of, just have it not sparingly, but like they just have it in moderation, I suppose. People do struggle because obviously they do eat out a lot more. Like they're not cooking at home or anything like that. So it's
yep.
pretty much like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is out. Um, but yeah, like it's just I think like it's just about teaching them portion control, I suppose,
Yeah.
protein sources, getting that movement in,
Mm,
things like that. And a lot of the time they actually want to get that movement in just because they still want to feel good even when they're on their holiday. I did have a client like wanting to get to a certain weight before she went away.
yep.
But yeah, like we got there, but I also like she's like really worried that she was going to undo all her progress while she was
Yeah.
away. And it's like you just got to teach these little tiny habits that are going to help in that sense, and then accepting that you might gain a little bit of weight, but you can always lose it when you come back.
Mm.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an interesting one because obviously you go away to a I don't know island holiday or a beach holiday or what Bali whatever you want to
Yeah.
look good, right? And that's the premise of most people's approaches is to try and strip down a little bit, look a little bit better. But yeah, you because you do restrict in those final few weeks or months or whatever the period is, you are susceptible to weight gain, particularly if the emphasis when you're away is to relax very much around food. So yeah,
Yes.
that weight gain can be a lot more susceptible.
Well, I suppose you'd see that as well with like the
Yeah.
competitors, like coming off the back end of a show.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah.
it is. It is. I guess and which it actually correlates because if someone does say, right, I'm going away at this point with me,
Mm,
we'll structure a plan so that maybe we've still got a period of time before the holiday to reverse into it effectively.
yeah. Yeah.
So we'll diet for a period of time, try and maintain the weight loss that we've accrued, and then for maybe 4 weeks we'll try and reverse them into the holiday so that they are at a more stable and higher metabolic intake, and that
Mm,
seems to work really well. But you've got to have the time to do that, right? So again, it comes back to organization and planning.
yes. Yeah. And that's right. And like, yeah, I don't, I try like to not like they do restrict, I suppose, to a certain point, but it's just like I don't want them to restrict too much to
Mm.
then like I've only got to get to this point and then I'm done.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
never want them to ever think like that. Like I want them to always kind of I suppose like adapt these sort of lifestyle routines to have forever. And I tried to explain that to a client as well. Like I was like, if you're temporarily wanting to go and get your steps done, temporarily wanting to change your nutrition, temporarily, you're only going to have temporary results. Like you
yeah.
need to do this for a lifetime. Like you need to adapt these sort of things to your lifetime. I don't mean like weighing your food for a lifetime, like, in the aged care facility, weighing your food. Like I don't mean that. I just mean to
Oh,
like start like educating yourself and like adapting, like, you're wanting to go on those walks, wanting
uh,
to get out and get some fresh air. And, sometimes it just comes back to a mindset. And, people think of getting out and getting your steps done as like a chore
yep.
and not like I have to do it because I want to lose weight. And like for me, it's like me time. Like,
Mm,
oh, I can get out, get some sunshine, get away from the computer, get
yep.
out of the house, calm the kid. Like it's just really, really nice and I enjoy it. So like, or if I used to struggle, I used to go get a coffee. So I'd walk and get a coffee and like that would be a huge motivator because
Yep.
I need coffee. So like, it's just turning that into something else,
Mm.
like mindset wise. Yeah, it's really nice.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. It's a good way to look at it, and that I guess that's an element of all things health and fitness is that you've got to look at the positive spin on it rather than the negative. It can't be a chore, it
Yeah.
can't be a task. You're doing this for a particular reason, and that reason is generally beneficial to your long-term health. So
Yeah.
the appropriate spin on it is obviously going to make you think differently about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to remember it's going to be something you want to do forever. If you want to
Mm.
maintain these sort of results, then it's like lifestyle changes that you need to make. It's not like temporary, oh, I only need to do this for a certain amount of time. Like you kind of want to be doing it forever, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like it's not again, it's not a 12-week challenge or a short-term fix. It's yeah, that
Yeah.
we have one life, and we want to obviously age gracefully and with strength and good health, and avoid illness and sickness and all these things. And food plays a big role.
It does, yeah, definitely. But I feel like once people learn the basics, they're
Mm.
like, sweet, you know what I mean? Like I used to, back when I first started the business, I was coaching my brother,
Mm.
and he's FIFO, so like he wouldn't weigh anything or anything. So it was all just education based. So
Mm.
like it was literally like he'd send me a list of like what they had in the canteen, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. And like I would just be like, cool, like this is how you want to portion your plate. Like this is you want a bit of protein there, blah blah blah. And then he got to the point where he did not need me anymore. He was very confident in how he was like, and it would be a different amount of foods, like sorry, different foods
Yeah.
every week or every day or whatever. It'd change every day. So yeah, like it was just a bit of education really. And like
Mm.
once he knew, and he's like, oh, I need heaps of protein. Cool, I'll go buy a protein powder. And because he was like he's a big boy, and
Sure.
he was working out at the gym as well, like on site. And yeah, he's done amazing. So just with a bit of education, he's sweet. And that was over a year ago. Like he's all
Unreal.
over it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a key point right there, education and knowledge.
Yeah.
If you can, it's one thing to just follow a plan along, I think. And, yes, that's all well and good and will obviously get you off to a really good start, but you want to invest in learning why you're doing what you're doing and why
Yes.
you're eating what you're eating and why it's structured the way it is and what do these numbers represent and all this sort of stuff because it's only going to set you up with more success because you can then potentially start to gravitate towards your own approach or a more flexible approach and things like that. So, knowledge and education is key.
Oh, it's power,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, yeah, and it's like sustainability as well, like
Oh,
just to
oh, yeah.
have that forever. And I suppose navigating like what we've talked about so much in this podcast is like the social media world. Like once you kind of have that knowledge, you're like, oh, you can kind of navigate the bullshit a little bit. The greens powder is not got your answer. The diet
No,
pills
it's
aren't
not.
your answer. Like,
Oh dear. I think that's a really good note to finish up on, actually, Alex. I think that's a good way to end things is yeah, education. I really like that. Do you want to give your business a plug? How people find you, how they contact you, your services, website, etc.
so Totally Balanced Nutrition is my social media. And yeah, you'll find like the link in my bio will have like
Okay.
my pretty much everything that you need.
Perfect. And you obviously mentioned before we got on here, you've got some male clients. You've obviously got plenty of female
Yes,
clients. So there's
yeah,
no
a mix.
parameters around any of that.
No, no, not really. Like yeah, I'm training a bit of a mix at the moment. Mostly females, and mothers and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do coach the occasional males as well.
Cool. 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 And then finally, all guests get to answer the question about dinner. Who would you invite over to dinner? So this can be anybody. It can be male, female, alive, dead, fictional, non-fictional. Who would you like to sit down with, have a great meal, tracked, of course,
Yeah, of course.
and have a good conversation with?
So I have been thinking about this question,
There
right?
you go.
Since you like
I
messaged me
like those
about
that
it.
put thought into it. It's good.
Um, like I suppose there's two answers.
Okay, that's fine.
First answer, I don't want to leave the podcast on a sad note, but it would be with my dad, who I lost when I was 18.
Okay, fair enough.
Definitely needed to have another dinner with him because family is everything.
Yes.
Second person, which is a little bit a happier note, would definitely be Adam Sandler. I feel like
Hey.
he is just like such a genuine person.
Yep.
I would definitely be pissing myself laughing the whole time. Yeah, I just think he's like such a great I don't know. Like, I don't know him personally, obviously, but I
Yes.
think he's just like a great person coming out of that sort of industry. Is like, he has all the money in the world and he dresses how he wants to dress.
Yeah, he does. You see him turn up to the Oscars
Absolutely.
the other month. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. He just
Like,
does not care. Hey,
no,
like he just seems very, very genuine. And also like Happy Gilmore 2 is about to come out,
it's
so
about to come out. Exactly. Yes.
he's on my mind.
Oh, well, let's hope it's as good as the first one because sequels sometimes, but
I know,
I'm sure
I
it'll be
know.
just as funny.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah, unreal. Well, thank you, Alex. I certainly appreciate your
You're
time, your
welcome.
insight, and
Yeah.
obviously I'll put your business details in the show notes,
Yeah.
and drop this in a fortnight. I think I've got one more schedule after today, so Monday fortnight, and everyone can have a listen. So I'll make sure you
Alex.
get tagged in all of it.
How exciting. Thanks so
Excellent.
much,
All right.
Paul.
No, pleasure. Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank Alex for her time today. It was really great of her to give up her time, have an in-depth conversation about nutrition and all the things she's seen in the world at the moment in relation to, obstacles that people are facing, the challenges, social media, the pressure, diet culture, etc. So it was really, really good insight, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Now, if you have enjoyed it, please make sure you share it, screenshot it, share it across your social media, tag myself, Paul's Body Engineering, tag Alex's business as well, Totally Balanced Nutrition. If you're interested in any of my coaching services, obviously you know where to find me, paulsbodyengineering.com, or alternatively Instagram, send me a DM, and all of Alex's contact information will be in the show notes. So thank you once again, and as I say to every client, every single day, have a great day. Experience the difference with Matt Glynn at Code Property Group. With a 20-year reputation for clean business, Matt is your guy when it comes to all things real estate. Make sure you give him a call now on 0404 315 066.